Hello. April 28th. It sure is. It's Monday. It's the last week of April. The IRS should be processing your refunds, hopefully. And, yeah. What the heck? Start off the new year with a little extra jingle in your pocket, hopefully. Well, Marilyn and I had a nice little, somebody left us. We went down to the Cove. Where'd our pictures go? There we go. Oops, I gotta, yeah. There we go. I'm trying to get things organized here. Hold on a second. There we go. I gotta be over on this side. There we go. There we go. Brighten up the screen a little bit. Yeah, there's Jimmy and Marilyn. Yesterday. Where? Does it say? Yeah, the Cove. You can see it right here in the map. I'll touch it. Look at that. Let's hit a satellite view. Yeah. That's it. That's where we were. We're sitting right there. Right where that little arrow is. Underneath that second umbrella. This umbrella right here. There's two of them. The one closest to the building. That roof looking thing. So we could see the boats, going through the waterway there. Through the intercoastal. That's a bridge. And then it leads right. And people go right up this waterway. I'm showing you the waterway. Right up here. And it leads right into Lake Boca. And there was that was a huge bunch of boats in there yesterday. There we go, we can do a little tilt. We have to do a little tilt because that's the only way you can see this big building right here, the Boca Hotel building. Because if we, let's get rid of this. And whoops, X out, there we go. Because if you look, see that right there? You can see that Boca Hotel building as these boats are going up the waterway to get into Lake Boca. So this big water thing here, that's just the waterway. What waterway? That waterway, which goes all the way up here. You keep on going. It's a mile. It's not a big deal. And you end up right in the middle of that pond. And we do the satellite view. And then we're gonna do that 3D dimensional, and you get a chance to see That's the hotel building, and we can swing around the magic of digital. It's amazing, huh? I'm just shocked at how this is like being able to fly. Back in when I would be asked to take pictures of sites, you have to hire a helicopter, and then you get on the helicopter, and you'd have your camera and your big lens, and he'd fly around, but every once in a while he'd have to check in with the tower and make sure everything was okay. There you go. Calming down. Good old, oh God, now we're left. Well, we started out with a simulcast, and now we have a we have a broadcast, not a simulcast. We got YouTube Live. We lose YouTube, we're SOL. It's a little, I ran a speed test on the line. It was not the greatest speed test on the upload speed, which is one of the reasons why I've got Epidemic Sound Instrumental playing in the background, because you want to make sure we always have something going through the pipe. Streaming this is like water in a hose up north, and if you don't have water going through the hose and it is 0 degrees outside, the water will freeze in the hose. But if you, of course, you should roll up a hose and put it away, but let's just say it's a copper pipe and it's leading outside, and I don't know why you would have a copper pipe out there, but this is really about pipes underneath your house. But let's just say the pipe is out, laying out. If water is going through a pipe, even when it's really cold outside, the pipe will not freeze. No, I mean, if the temperature gets down to minus 30, it might freeze no matter what you're doing. But pipes will freeze and burst if the water is off, closed off at the spigot. And if you live up north, and the pipes that lead to your hose bibs outside, if you just shut them off, the chances are they're going to freeze and burst. So what you do is you let it drip. You open it up so it's drip, drip, drip. Maybe drip, 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 drip. Yeah, so water is moving in the pipe. Water moving doesn't crystallize and freeze. Freezing is crystallization. And water, H2O, is a compound, and it will crystallize. Water at 70 degrees Fahrenheit is a liquid. Water at 213 degrees is a vapor. It's a gas. Okay. Water at 70 degrees, let's say we're going to cool it down, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30. Whoops, 30, 25. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. That's when you just start to see a film of water, of ice over the top of a glass of water out on the patio. When it gets below 32, let's say 28, now we're talking about the water. If there's a glass of water out on the patio, you can see the water will freeze on the top and will freeze all around the inside of the water in the glass. And it'll continue to freeze as it is going towards the middle of the amount of water that's in the glass. And when it freezes all the way to the center, it starts to expand and it'll pop the glass. In other words, the glass may break because ice takes a little more volume than water that's not frozen. It tends to move out. It expands a little bit. So if you were to continue to stir the top of the water, keep breaking the top, you go out there and then you crack the ice that's on the top of the water. And the ice continues to the wall of the ice around the inside of the glass. And you keep breaking the top layer of the ice. Then as it expands, it'll expand up instead of outward. And the glass could be saved. Of course, the smart thing to do is just pick up the glass and bring it inside. Now, it may be frozen to the tabletop. Well, then pour a little hot water on the tabletop and loosen that up and grab the glass, bring it inside. The alternative is splash the water outside of the glass. Anyways, the point is, when you're streaming audio, circling back to that, when you stream audio, there is bits and bytes, digital bits per second, which is like the flow of bits through the pipe. And you want to have a constant flow. If there's a break in the flow, you could lose one of your social networks. I lost 2 of them already today, honestly. I don't know exactly why. I have a thought, and the thought is that the upload speed is inconsistent and somewhat lower than it should be. I'm going to execute a little test right now. It's 43 megabits per second. Let's see how I'm doing a speed test while we're talking. See, now we've got bits and bytes going through the pipe, so this speed test should be pretty good. See, the ping was 15 milliseconds, which is, as low as I've seen it in the last 2 weeks. Now we have 34, 35, 38 megabits per second. It's climbing up to 39. I need 25, and we got 39. So, so what I did is I ran the speed test just before we went on the air. So that started the water through the pipe. We gave it a little kickstart. And then right when that's just coming up to the end of the speed test, whoosh, I started our little thing. To keep the flow in the pipe. But I still lost 2 anyway, because the internet is not, it's tricky. Sometimes it's, Monday morning, everyone is on their computers looking up stuff, and I should really, the other thing you can do, just so you know, if you have internet issues, and you're getting your internet through the cable provider. You know, in my case, it's Xfinity, which is Comcast, essentially, is to just unplug your modem, which I should have done at 8 o'clock this morning. Unplug it and let it restart, and then it will, you know, log in back into Xfinity, and you get like a fresh connection into the backbone, if you will. You see this, like the hotel? So you got all these people plugged in to all these floors. Just instead of this being a hotel, this is like a switch. Okay, this is the backbone of Xfinity. So you want to get a good socket on this. You got people plugging in on this side. You got people plugging in on the corner, and so sometimes you get pushed off into this corner where you can see this is a skinnier part of the whole situation. So you want to be over here where it's nice and wide. So you were here and you got pushed over here. So you want to unplug your modem so you can get back over to this side. Yeah, it's hard to. It's like a tree and a branch. If you unplug your modem, you know, once a week, let's say on Monday morning, and then count, you know, unplug it, count to 10. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Do that up to 10, and then plug it back in. And what it does is it gives you a fresh connection into the backbone of Xfinity. And chances are you're going to have higher internet speeds if you do that once a week. Just unplug it, count to 10, let the modem settle down, and let all the electrons, you know, run up against each other. And so you want everything to calm down inside the modem. It takes about 5 seconds. Count to 10. And you see the light when you unplug it. The light dims, you know, like gradually. You know, that's all the electricity is being consumed out of the unit, and that way when you plug it back in, it totally resets. It'll automatically log in the modem connection into the backbone. Those IDs and passwords are saved, so you don't have to enter them again. I was trying to think of what mine would be, and I actually don't know. I'd have to think about it for a while. You know, what the passwords could possibly be between the modem to connect into Xfinity. I'd have to have the tech people deal with that, because I actually do not remember what the login ID is of the modem. It might very well just be my email address, you know, and then password. I can guess what it would be. I like to keep those passwords simple, you know. Not short, but simple. And, you know, don't use password as the password. You know, when Trump was running against Hillary Clinton, this is like 10 years ago, right? And during the campaign part, and then there was like an autopsy of what happened with the Democratic Party and all this stuff, and how could Trump win, and it was a close election, and everyone's crying the blues, kind of like the way they are now. So then they started looking into the Democratic National Committee, and you know, they were figuring out, you know, what the heck is going on there, and you know that certain other operatives actually hacked into the Democratic National Committee's, you know, connectivity into all, with all the emails that were going back and forth between members, text messages between members of the Democratic Party, because it was the DNC, server and all that stuff. And they found out that the fellow that set up the server for the Democratic National Committee used the word password, literally password, as the password. I mean, that's the ultimate of stupidity. So when I say a simple password, I don't mean something as ridiculous as that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's also no, not that. Yeah. So you can actually Google it. What are the most common passwords used? And there's a list of them, and don't use any of those. It's a ridiculous list. I mean, if you see a list, you wonder how could anyone use that. You want to play? All right, let's play. You can see me, right? Yeah, you can see my screen right there. So I'm going to pull down. I'm going to say, I'm just going to ask a question. What are the most common passwords? To avoid. All right, I got all the words spelled right. I'm typing around this microphone thingy, so let's just hit the top one there, and let's see if I get some kind of a list. The most common passwords to avoid. Well, you can see. Yeah, here's one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's 6 ones. QWERT, that's like just going across your keyboard. QWERT, semicolon, LKJH. Remember that from typing school in the 7th grade or whatever? There's one. Password is the password. Names. Here's common names. Let's see. They actually list names. I was wondering if there was a sports teams. You don't use that. So you just have to think of something that's common in your life. Like your your last 2 zip codes backwards. Yeah. List of the most common passwords. Let's look. Here we go. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the 3 most common passwords in the history of passwords. And of course, you don't want to do it, No. 6 zeros. Here's counting 1 to 7, counting 1 to 10. All the ones. 6 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Secret. The word secret. No. Don't use secret. QWERT is just typing right across the keyboard. ABC 1, 2, 3. No. Password 1. No. I love you. No. There's 8 ones. Dragon. Monkey. Monkey is the 20th most common. And in this particular sampling, they tell you the count, how often that was used. counting 1 to 6, it was 3 million encounters in this sample, according to NordPass. Whatever that is. Yeah, so so don't use any of these for certain. Here's the 25. Here you can see all these common passwords. Welcome, hello, sunshine. You just have to avoid some of these words. Now this is by year. Here's 2019. This particular splash. 7. Let's see how many times. There's a bunch of 7s. Welcome. Bunch of 8s. Princess, dragon. Password 1. QWERT. UIOP. Yeah. They just type in the letters all the way across the keyboard. That's not very creative. So, they want you to use special characters, so you can use your shift key and you can see special characters. Arrows left and arrows right, and all the characters up. When you hit the shift key, you got the @ sign, the number sign, the $sign, the % sign. Those special characters. If you add that to your password, gives you a lot. It makes it very difficult for someone to spool into your password. Now, I don't think people are trying to, likely they're not in the internet and then looking to see the login and the password for your modem. That wouldn't be a realistic way for someone to hack into you. Now, they might spend time trying to figure out how to do that as some side door way to crack into, the Federal Reserve. They might try to hack into the modem. The most recent ways in which they're trying to accomplish that is to send little applets through your photographs, through images that exist in the Federal Reserve. Like their logos. That's an image. So they might try to figure out how to attach an applet that might be embedded in an image. A signature image. Very, very common thing that is used in the Federal Reserve is.
It's 9:45.
It's 9:45. You can look right there. There's the clock. Right there. Yeah. My computer announces the time every 15 minutes. That's a operation of the operating system of Mac OS. Yeah. You can ask the computer to tell you the time every 15 minutes. It just it wakes you up a little bit and say, whoops. I got something on. I have an appointment. I got something going on this morning that I should be taking care of. And I have to make a reservation at Mia Rosebud for this week. I think Thursday. I have a dinner date with a good friend and his wife at Mia Rosebud. Yeah, be there or be square. The top 10 worst passwords that you should never use. And one of the words is password. Another one is 696969, repeated 4 times. Your name, don't use your name as your password. Certainly don't use social security numbers, no. Counting 1 to 5. Number 4 is strong password. Don't use that as a password. Anyway, so it's interesting. You keep, but it's a good idea to do what I just did. It's your own, with your own device. Just say, what are the most common passwords to never use or to avoid? And then you'll get all this kind of list stuff. And you just look at it and make sure you're not going down that alley, because this is what the bad guys do. They look at these lists and they create a little computer program that keeps trying these passwords, 100 times a second. And they can go through, millions of passwords in 10 minutes. So, come up with a password that you can remember, and put some special characters in the front or in the back or both. And, change your password every once in a while. Some banks require, it was really annoying. A couple of banks I worked for, or one of them in particular, I should say, every 90 days you had to change your password. I actually went to the guy that was in charge of that in the operations center, and I said, "Hey, will you stop with this changing the passwords every 90 days? Change that. Make it every 6 months. God, it's getting to be very annoying. I can't keep track of the goddamn passwords, and I have to keep on changing it. Because I have to change my password because I can't remember what I changed it to. And I'm wasting a lot of, good business time. I could be doing something productive for the company, and I'm lousing around with these passwords. So, make it once a year, or every 6 months, but not every 90 days. That's just too frequently. I have to write them down, and that's not safe. So, yeah. So they relaxed the rule finally after I complained enough to every 6 months. Yeah, jeez, I tell you, what a mess. The whole banking thing and acquiring banks, and I can tell you, if you're in the banking business and you accept a job, I'm just saying now, if someone wants to hire you to help fix the bank, as soon as you do the fixing, you're on the way out. I did that one time. I helped try to fix a bank. As a matter of fact, I couldn't fix it all the way. I told, a couple of the board members and the CEO of the bank. I said, this, unless the board decides to put in they're gonna have to put in $6 or $7 million in fresh cash to essentially finance the losses that are coming up with the bank, because this portfolio is, you got a portfolio of loans that are not good. And eventually, they grind through the system. I'm just telling you, I've flagged them. I know exactly what they are. I've given you lists. You know what they are. Those loans are going to go bad. The regulators think they're almost bad. I'm telling you, they're bad. I'm tougher than the regulators are because I have to be. I mean, I've got to tell you guys, what's coming. You don't want any surprises. That's what you hired me to evaluate. And I'm telling you, it's going to take somewhere between $6 and $8 million in cash, in new capital, to finance the losses that are coming up in this portfolio. Yeah. Like it or not, I'm just saying. And eventually the regulators they're gonna find these. They haven't, the regulators, they don't, they sit nice and tall, and you think they're a bunch of, that they know everything, but they don't know everything. We should know everything. I just have I know the economy, I know the borrowers, I know the guarantors, I know the real estate involved, and I'm just telling you, it's going to be somewhere. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, because no one does that. No one, at least I don't know how to predict the future yet. I'm working on it. But we have tools to try to project what's going to happen, case by case. And we study each one of these loans, and we schedule out, you've seen it in the loan reports that we write on the side of assets, and we project out what the capital requirements are going to be for each of these loans. And either the borrower comes up with the money, or we have to come up with the money as a loss. If a year and a half ago, your senior lender, who's not a senior lender anymore, approved, and put a loan through a committee and recommended it and got everyone to go along with it, and now there's $1 million out there, and they're not selling the lots, they're not selling the townhouses, they're not selling whatever the heck they had to sell, and so therefore you don't have this cash flow. They have expenses, they got 3 or 4 employees, whatever they're doing, they're running around, they got to pay, they're getting some kind of a draw against commission, whatever, payroll taxes, phone bills, it's all the operating expenses to run a small business. That's all. We know what they are because they've reported what their expenses are, and we make note of it, and we project out all those expenses, and sooner or later they're gonna eat into they're gonna show losses, and we have to book those losses, and they go against the capital of the bank, because we eat the losses, and they can't perform under the loan, then we have to cite the asset, and then they stop paying, and then we got to write down the asset. So if it's worth $1 million, we have to write it down to, let's say, $750,000. Because they're not going to be able to pay it back. I mean, they can't pay their own bills, much less pay our loan back. So, then 3 or 6 months go by, and things haven't gotten better for them. So then we got to write the loan down to 50%. So now we got to eat another $250,000 loss. So it goes. And then after another 6 months to a year, they're still not selling whatever they were supposed to be selling. And then you got to write it down another $250,000. Well, if you cash flow out all these loans, and they have different different rates of acceleration on how fast they're disintegrating. You cash flow all those out, and I've done it on this portfolio, and we've given the reports into the board of directors exactly what I'm telling you in words here, and you're going to have to spend $6 or $8 million. That's just, and after 3 or 4 years have passed, I've seen. I'm not even at the bank anymore. I'm somewhere else. But I go back and I get the financial statements, through the reports they have to make to the FDIC, and you can see the financial statement because it's made public. The public, every bank reports into the FDIC, their actual financial condition. Assets, liabilities, income, and expenses. The whole, a detailed 4-page financial statement. And it shows all the assets, and they're listed, all the liabilities, they're listed, and which includes, and then you have income and expense, and it shows, a profit or a loss, and our assets growing, our assets shrinking, Anyway, so I've, even if I've moved on to a different institution, I've only worked for like 4 in my entire banking life of 30 years, so I don't skip around very often. I was, an officer, a director of, one bank. I was on the board for 12 years, for God's sakes. So, anywho, passwords are important. So I showed you in live TV. Just do a fast Google search, and beware. So this is the accept data, right out of one of the photos. I'm going to X out of that. You see, remember we took this photo, and then to find the accept data, if you have any kind of an Apple device, iPhone or iPad, these are pictures I took yesterday. You see in the very top it says the Cove Shopping Center. Where did that come from? It came from the EXIF data, EXIF data, that's captured up in the header, what they call the header of each photo. So what's a header? A header is like when you have like I got a file folder down here. It says tax returns. I just did a bunch of tax returns. My own and a couple of our offspring did their tax returns for them. Yep. The duties of dad. The 3-letter word. Yeah, give it to Dad'll do it. Give it to Dad. See if he can fix it. Give it to Mikey. See if Mikey will eat it. No, I don't want to eat it. I don't want to eat it. Anyway, I did tax returns. So yesterday we sat on the patio at this fine place, the Cove, in the Cove. It's called the Cove, and apparently it's the Cove Shopping Center. So apparently they've used the Cove is like everybody locally knows where the Cove is. It's this big indoor outdoor eatery. Yeah, you have coffee and tea and all that kind of stuff, and Coca-Cola and Sprite. You can get all those soft drinks, and you can get wines and cocktails. they have a wine list and they have a bar, so I had a cocktail. It was a sangria. A couple of weeks ago I was saying, I haven't had sangria in a long time. So I looked over, this waitress came over and said, well, would you like to drink? And Marilyn popped out with something right out of her mind. I'll have this. And I didn't have a clue what I wanted. So I looked over at the bar and I said, what's that lady drinking over there? She said, that's a white sangria. I said, so that's a sangria with white wine instead of red wine? She said, yeah. I said, I'll have one of those. So that's what I had. I had a white sangria at the Cove, sitting outside under that umbrella that I showed you. And we sat out there for the whole afternoon. We were there from noon until 4 o'clock. I parked the car in 2-hour parking. I didn't get any tickets or anything, but they want you to stay as long as you're spending money. Anyway, so you have your camera with you, right? Because you got your iPhone. So you see, look, I took all these pictures, and look at the size of these these yachts. You talk about a yacht. Look at the 2 anchor things in the front. Holy mackerel! This is a big ship. Yeah, that's a big ship. You got, you're in trouble when you got 2 radars. You got one on the left and one on the right, and you got this big chimney thingy. Yeah, I mean, this is like an ocean liner, for God's sakes. Yep. So I captured him a few times. There he is again. Yep. He's coming and going. So he looks like he's heading south on the intercoastal waterway. You see all these ships, these little boats. Yeah, see, look at them. They're all going up the waterway. Either coming or going, They're going both directions. I'm sure the water patrol is having fun, setting the alarm off. And I'll show you what's going on here. Whoops, where is, let's take a look at this one. Look at all these people on this boat. Now, do you think they have flotation devices for every one of these people? That's what the law says. Everybody on the boat must have, they don't have to wear it, but it must be available to them. Available is an interesting word. How close does it have to be to their physical body? Somewhere where you can grab it if the boat starts to go down, I guess. You're in the intercoastal, but you could be out in the middle of the frickin' ocean or something, and the boat catches fire and everybody's got to jump off. When all this stuff happens. So this is a big boat, because you can look. Oops. You see, we'll just we'll do a little expando, and whoops, we got a butt facing us. But I mean, just in this little back thing, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got like 20 people just in this little niche in the bottom. And if we go up on the top, we got another 20 up top there under the canopy thing. And then we go here, and oh my God, you got another 20. You got 60. So they better have 60. But that's what the Marine Patrol does. Do you have 60 flotation devices in this vessel? I don't know. So that's one ship. Is this the same bunch? You can kind of... I'm looking at the front piece here. That's the same people, yeah. That's the same boat, just a close up on the front. And look at all these people sitting up on the top. I mean, that's 4, 8, 10, 12. That's like 16 or 18 people up on the top there. Yep. Boys and girls, mostly girls, in that little part. They're all getting skin cancer while we speak. Those are wings. I'll tell you what, the cove has good wings. We get them, they're like fried, fast fried. So they're lightly battered. I'd say they're lightly battered. This is kind of like the end of the little pile there. But they look pretty much like that, So the skin was very edible. You didn't have it's not like you ate through a lot of coating or anything like that. This is looking at the ends of each of them, so it's not really a good picture. But I took it anyway. There's Jimmy and Marilyn. Yeah. So just paging through some of these shots. Look at this. This ship was made for trouble. Yeah, skull and crossbone. But instead of it, I don't know what. Yeah, I guess there's the skull. Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of skinheads type. There you go. This guy. Got tattoos and stuff. Yeah. To each his own. I read somewhere where tattoo, the ink, is carcinogenic. So you really don't want to do the ink. See, some of these pictures are like, let's get rid of them. They're too duplicate. Let's get rid of them. I don't like that. You're just looking at the essence of a boat. That's nothing interesting about that picture. Nothing interesting about that picture. Now just snapping away. There's another hors d'oeuvre. Now this is curious, right? That's worth keeping, that one. Just because there's a boat, there could be no one in it. Look at all what are these openings for cannons? There's our, I guess, the hush puppies served on a bed of lettuce of some kind. Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice little picture. Yeah, that's the hush puppies. That's good. All these appetizers are like $8 or $10. Here's the coconut shrimp. When they put some corn stuff on it, I give the topping to Marilyn. I don't want that. I scrape it off. I just want the shrimpy thing. So there were like 4 of them, so we each had 2. Yeah. They cost like $8. So we kept on ordering appetizers. We didn't actually. Would you like to order dinner, sir, or lunch? I said, no, we're going to keep ordering appetizers. So we sat there the whole day, sipping on wine and eating appetizers. Close to $100 for 4 hours. That's not bad. $25 an hour, you get, you sit and watch the boats go by. You're in the shade, so we weren't, getting ourselves sunburned. We took a couple of selfies. There's one. Marilyn has almost a smile. I put a little marking on that one. That was probably the best one. This one, she doesn't look very happy there. She don't look very happy there. I look the same all the time. So this one, you picked this one as the keeper. Seems like I worked on another one. And I see another one somewhere. Oh, here, this one. Yeah, that looks better. I'm on the other side, see. And let's see, this one. See here, I'm on the left side. This one, I'm on the right side. I just need to work on this one a little bit. So let's hit the edit thing. Oh, look, ooh. What we got here? We can change the, you see, we can make the you can change the f-stop. So we're going to see if I set it way down here to f16. You see how we see all the people in the background? You're getting photobombed a little bit by the people in the background. So we can change the f-stop and take them out of the picture. See, they fuzz out like you're opening the lens up. All right, we'll do that. And then we'll come over here and, the cropping and everything looks okay. For now, let's adjust the color. We need to turn the contrast up a little bit. It looks a little too boring, yeah. We'll change the black point because my shirt looks kind of dingy. Darken that up a little bit. And I think the colors look alright. Yeah, I can add a little tiny bit. See what we do with the color temperature. Go up and down there a little bit. Yeah, we don't want to look like the blue people, and we don't want to be the red-faced people. We want to be somewhere between right there. There we go. We warmed it up. 10 clicks. All right. That's it. So we're going to say done. Now what? I don't understand what just happened there. Let's get back up to adjust. And let's just brighten it up a little bit. So that when I do this, yeah, I don't know. I don't like the way. I don't know. It was all good, and then it went dull on us. All right, that's live TV for you. I'll have to adjust that. Again, this is good right here. So we'll stick with this one. There you go. See there, everybody. We're watching the boats going up and down. You got big boats, little boats. Had some hush puppies. There we go. Had some shrimp. Yeah, ordered some more hors d'oeuvres. Yeah. Look at this big one, mixed in with all the little ones. Yeah. You just don't want to be bumping into each other. That's not a good thing. Yeah, because these vessels have a lot of people in them, these big guys, how much fuel they carry. Where are those tanks? So you start banging into these things. They don't like rubber. This is not like rubber toys in a bathtub. These things don't bounce very well. So if you bounce into it, you could, basically poke a hole in it, in a sense, or make a depression that cracks the fiberglass. If it's fiberglass, if there's a fiberglass system that's actually sealing the water from getting in to the boat, so something has to be sealing. Has to be a membrane of sorts to prevent the water from entering the middle of the boat. Yeah. So, and I actually don't know what the membranes are in a big boat like that. But that's a big one. You don't want to be bouncing the little ones off of it. Yeah. So they have these little things they hang over the side so that, you don't have this, because there's a lot of boats out there, and if you have to pay attention, and some of them don't have, what I would call the requisite number of buoys hanging out over the sides, so that if these other boats bounce onto you for some reason or other, like you're all lined up in because the bridge is going to go up every 30 minutes. There's a schedule, which one of these folks should go to the municipality and down, look up, the schedule per hour, and they have one generally at least. Okay, there you go. Looks like bathrooms. Alright, so now you know we did that yesterday. That was enjoyable. We will do that again. So there really wasn't a reason to go. We just, it was 12 o'clock and we were hungry and it was Sunday and we really didn't have a plan. We went to Flakowitz yesterday at like 11 or 10:30 and had a nice breakfast there. And yeah, so we didn't want to go back to Flakowitz today because we went yesterday. So, Flanagan's is a place we've gone to, which is, they have good wings and good ribs. A lot of TVs around, so if there's some sporting event, you can watch the golf or, football, basketball, whatever's playing. So, apparently in Colorado, they found what they called an underground, party of about 100 gang members partying in this club thing where they had some plywood over the windows and stuff, almost like it was hurricane closed, even though there's no hurricane. And inside they were partying away, and the ICE agents surrounded it, like 20 of them, armed with pistols and batons and all that stuff. And they rounded up 100 of these bad guys and carried them off to jail, and then they'll have a hearing, and they either have papers or not. I'll bet you that they're not legal, they're illegal aliens. And they congregate, little expression, birds of a feather flock together. Birds that have the same pattern of feathers live in the same place, Yeah. Breeds of animals hang out together, Cats hang around with cats, and dogs hang around with dogs, and gang members hang out with gang members. And every once in a while you have, a stupid regular guy they get mixed up, and then all of a sudden, they could end up being deported. For those of you that have a certain level of autonomy, robotics, programming capability, application software. When you activate cruise control, Yeah, that's like level 1, 2, and 3 over here on the left side of this chart. So it says in the very top, you are driving. Whenever the driver, these are support features, you know, and you must constantly supervise these support features. You must steer, brake, accelerate as needed to maintain safety. So that's common for, you know, SAE level 0, 1, and 2. You know, this is an international government-approved chart. And so you can see, I'm going to go down to the very bottom left, emergency braking, blind spot warnings that they might give you, you know, digital, electronic, you know, beeps, colors, when your turn signal, you know, if there's a video screen, you know, it turns red on the left side of it, if someone's in your blind spot on the left side. If you look down the column here, SAE level 1 is lane centering, adaptive cruise control. That would be SAE level 1 business. These features provide brake, acceleration, and support for the driver. SAE level 2, these features, whoops, whoa, my fingers are touching the screen, sorry. I have to pull this over. Oh no, we can see this. So we're looking at the middle of this, right here. We're zeroing in, right in the middle of the screen, the blue. These are driver support features, and this has to do with SAE level 2. Provides steering, brake, acceleration support to the driver, lane centering, adaptive cruise control simultaneously. You know, I use all the time when I'm driving on, you know, like a highway going up I-95 or something. You know, you turn on autopilot in a Tesla, and autopilot is like cruise control. Okay, it's not like autopilot on a plane where, you know, you can turn around backwards and read a book if you turn on the autopilot. This is not that. This is like a cruise control. They just happen to, the Tesla brand, all the cars, they call it autopilot. Okay. Now, if you pay a monthly fee of like $100 a month, and you know, in your application, you have an app that's in your car, and one of the choices are you want to activate and use full self-driving. Oops, sorry. So I just whacked the mic. In that case, you're looking on the green side of this chart, SA level 3. So SA levels 3, 4, and 5, you know, up on the top, you know, let's expando this green part so you can see what's going on there. You are not driving when these automated driving features are engaged. Even if you are seated in the driver's seat, you're just kind of like a spectator. These automated driving features will not require you to take driving control. Now this would be SA level 4 and 5. And SA level 3, you're still driving the car, even though all these other features are activated. Okay, but if your car and the municipality has agreed to it, SAE level 4 would mean it'd be a local driverless taxi. Pedals and steering wheel may not even be present. Robotaxi is being released in June in southern Texas and in California, Southern California, I think. I don't know whether the governor in the two states has, how much of the state. I think in the state of Texas, it's the whole state is basically approved the Tesla system as being, statistically, the recent data is that the full self-driving is safer than, basically human drivers, because it's got, 7 cameras looking in all directions at all times, and it's better at avoiding accidents because of the robotics that are built into the car. No matter how you want to look at it, the car is, a robotics car that you can either drive or not drive. You basically almost have, like, if you don't drive, this is what I'll be charging you. But if you do, which I want you to do, Marilyn, she ate the lettuce out of there. So they're rehabilitating the sandwich for Marilyn. She picked it apart. Anyway, so this autonomous driving, where basically Tesla is entering SAE level 4, because they're coming out with a driverless taxi. Driverless, that means no driver, a no driver taxi. And you basically sit in the front seat. You can squeeze 3 in, but there's no steering wheel and there are no pedals. So, there's a screen up front in the middle that you can tilt, up and down. And it's amazing. I mean, they just have the robotics that works all 4 wheels, works, the braking and everything is all automated. The steering is automated.
It's 10:30.
So that's happening. I mean, Elon, everybody says, well, a lot of people says it better be in June because you said it's going to be June. Elon is not the best at predicting the timing of events. The events happen, so he has a tremendous history of doing very exciting things, but they don't exactly happen when he said they should happen. Yeah, there's a time differential between when he looks at something and when you can put a plan in a business. But we're moving along this chart from left to right. And in June, at least I can tell you for Tesla's standpoint, you can see a driverless taxi. Pedals and steering wheel may not even be installed. That's level 4. You know, you have some systems that have come over from France that are driverless, that work in like Las Vegas. That's all they do. They drive all around Las Vegas. And their software is all, you know, they've driven all the roads, literally every single inch of every road that, you know, I would rather have the participants of these kinds of things, you know, step forward and put up your licenses, just so we have, you know, a data representation of who this person is and what their name is. So we need a. Oh, she's hiding me. Yeah. Yes. How you doing? Yeah. So driverless cars are happening. Yep. It turns out that the world of Tesla is, you know, it's the robotics. There's, you know, the car itself is robotic, and it has actuators, and it has, you know, stimulators. It has software, and you know, it's with turning on the proper switches, which are essentially at this point turned on by Trump, because all the cars are ready to go. They've gone to the bathroom and they've, you know, closed up their issue. Anyway, so that's a good sheet to save and print. It's just there's the processing map of how the robotics works. And when there's computing and when there isn't. So this is your amplifier that's connected Tooth wire in the front. Can they have them in the front? Tooth. They're climbing around just trying to find a spot that they like. That's okay. Anyway, so here's a little logic map of what happens when you pick up your camera and push a button. The shutter button is generally the start button that just a few days ago had this cat food litter. What else of interest do I have here? Here is, my iPhone looks like this right now. Let's unplug it. You've seen the reflecting. I got 3 cameras. You see how they're arranged in the back of the phone? Well, in years to come, that's going to be like this. They found some dummies, which, that makes sense. This would be the opening for the LiDAR, in and out. Yeah. But knowing the people that are the developers of the project, they'll be they'll have to be present for this these decisions to be made. They'd be in person at the Apple company. Yeah. We're getting a little clarity. Can you see it? A little clarity. Looks like it was a little foggy, it's a little sharper. Here's a new, instead of the Merlin engine, this is a Raptor engine. Yeah. They got, I think, 33 Raptor engines. The size of that engine compared to the Cybertruck. It's a big sucker. almost 300,000 pounds of thrust. It's like a controlled explosion. Yeah. That's what's going on with that. Not the 7, it might be model 18 or 19. I don't think they're having this design change this year. They're getting the camera system lined up right now, because I had noticed the last time I had the thing, I said, anyway, any of you that are having trouble with the digital systems that are associated with the iPad or the iPhone, just call or text me, and I'll take you through it the best I can, or meet you in a local coffee shop here to help you right there with your device, right in front of us, me, myself, and I. This is the fertility. Now this is a graphic that was startling. This is the United States now. At birth, you can see the number of births is coming. You see that line? It's going. It's going.
It's 10:45.
Might have fallen off cars like crazy. I can tell you that. Yeah, that's a problem. They need to fix that problem. I heard it's fixed, and it's not fixed, and fixed, not fixed. You need to get that square. Because I want to get all the features on this. I'm a bad, as my experience will tell me. But have a color one and one's not so much color. Let's see if we can find him. Ouch. Alright. I'll do it the hard way. So I can just hit the messaging app. Okay, personally we're good. That was a message out for Brandon. We got 19 unknown sellers. So, really. Alright, sports fans. It's 10:40. I don't really have much more to report to you. It's just scanning for some of the stuff. That's it. But the one thing you don't count on is, you just don't think that the Cove would have such. The Cove actually has some outstanding food prep for the appetizers. I was really surprised. I mean, the shrimp were, soft and tender and perfectly cooked. Not all dried out and shrunk up, and I mean, it was just really well done. I mean, everything was. Hush puppies were exactly what you would expect. These guys right here. There you go. I don't know what that tab means. Oh, photo selected. Yeah, okay. Whoops, I got all these buttons pushed by mistake. There we go. There we go. Let's get rid of that. Shift. There we go. Got all these little messages up on the top. What the heck? I guess it dims because you selected it. Because there were 3 of them, you could select them and get rid of them all at one time. I'm a little skittish on getting rid of things. This was a good one. All right, sports fans. Everything seems to be working. I think we've got enough internet connection for tomorrow, seems. And you have a good Monday. I'll let you get on to your chores. I'm going to go see if I can figure out how to have my little early lunch, late breakfast. I haven't had anything really. I had a little piece of one of these little cookies to tide me over with my coffee. You all have a great day.